My husband Jasper is a wealthy young master of City A. In the previous life, Jasper chose to fake his death to play a game of true love. He lived happily ever after with his true love while I diligently and conscientiously managed the Zhao family's business. In the end, I became ill from overwork and longing, and had little time left. However, when he returned upon hearing the news, it was only to wait until I closed my eyes so he could marry his true love with the most lavish wedding in the world. I coughed up blood and died, my eyes unclosed in death. Reborn, I no longer played a part in their love games. Through tears, I chose to inherit Jasper's business empire. Since the scumbag is dead, there's no need for him to come back. Promotion, riches, and a dead husband, the three great joys, at last they've come to me. Just like in my previous life, while I was working overtime negotiating projects for the Zhao Corporation, I received the news of my husband's death. His two childhood friends told me with grief-stricken faces, "Sister-in-law, please accept our condolences and try to bear this change of fate. Jasper had an accident while bungee jumping. He fell to the bottom of the mountain. We searched for him all day and couldn't find him. It's likely the worst has happened." My husband Jasper and I were a typical arranged marriage between families of equal standing. He was known as the wealthy young master of City A. Anyone with eyes could see that the Shen family had been in decline for years. And although I, Serena, am a daughter of the Shen family, once my house got a stepmother it also got a stepfather, my relationship with the Shens is poor. So Jasper's grandfather, Frank, wasn't worried I would pillage the in-laws' assets for my birth family. Unlike Jasper, who has zero talent for business, I inherited some of my parents' knack for commerce. That's why Frank chose me to marry his precious grandson, hoping I could help prop up the Zhao family's fortunes. At first Jasper treated me indifferently, later he seemed to grow fond of me and turned into the media's infamous doting husband. When I heard the news of Jasper's death, I pretended to be distraught and asked, "What did you say? Jasper is dead? And it happened while he was bungee jumping?" One of my childhood friends, Zachary, said cautiously, "The rescue team searched the mountain all day and night and still couldn't find any trace of Jasper. The captain said they can't rule out the possibility that some wild animal carried him off." When I heard that, I instantly fell apart and cried hysterically, tears streaming down as if they were free. I don't believe it. He'd promised me we'd celebrate our golden anniversary together decades from now. We loved each other so much, how could we suddenly be separated by death like this? They two men were overwhelmed by my crying. Lucas spoke up to comfort me, "Sister-in-law, Jasper is gone, you have to pull yourself together, you have to help manage his affairs. Besides, if his spirit watches from heaven, he surely wouldn't want to see you so broken." I acted unreasonably, yelling at them. He always did extreme sports, free solo climbing, alpine skiing, aerial surfing, bungee jumping. In every one he pushed himself to the limit. Now you tell me he played bungee jumping and killed himself, I don't believe it. Zachary handed me the wedding ring Jasper had taken off before bungee jumping. He turned away from my eyes and said, "Jasper's last wish was surely that the Zhao group continue to prosper. I believe, you loved him so much, you will help him manage the company well." I shook my head hard and cried, "Tell the search and rescue team to keep looking. If they can't find him in a day, then search for 10 days, a month, even a year, I can wait that long. Whatever it takes for them to keep searching, I'll pay." Jasper promised he'd spend my birthday with me, he can't break his word. Lucas said sympathetically, "We know you can't accept it right away, but that's the fact. You'll have to learn to accept it." Jasper's lawyer told me calmly, "Mr. Jasper left a will. If he suffers any accident, all his assets are to be inherited by Miss Serena." I rifled through Jasper's asset documents, then pretended I couldn't accept it and slammed the door as I ran out. Otherwise, I was afraid I'd burst out laughing. Back at my billion-yuan villa, I rolled with glee on the 2-meter-wide bed. Frank died a year ago, no one can contest the inheritance, and all of the Zhao family's billions will belong to me. All those heartfelt scenes I acted with that scumbag after my rebirth were not in vain. I laughed like a pig at the fortune I was about to inherit. As for Jasper, the rotten jerk, If he likes faking his death so much, let him truly die. Whenever I think about things from my past life, my heart turns as cold as the knife that's been cutting fish at de Run FA for 10 years. In my last life, 3 years after I married Jasper, he met what he called his true love. To pursue that person and prove the fidelity of their feelings, he chose to fake his death and hide his identity. But he couldn't let go of everything tied to the Zhao family, so he set his sights on me. He began to pretend to fall for me little by little, until the affection took root and grew deep, becoming the famous wife-adoring man the media wrote about. I was gradually won over by him, and I fell deeply in love with him. At the time Jasper and I joked that the two of us were keeping up with the fad of marrying first and falling in love later. He smiled and touched my hair when he heard that. I, however, did not notice the mockery in his eyes. After he died, although I had suitors, I did not remarry. I stayed on at the Zhao household to manage his affairs, and in the end I worked myself into collapse, with little time left. When he learned of this news, he returned in a grand display with his true love Cora and their son Ethan. He had the most lavish wedding in the world prepared, only waiting for me to close my eyes on the hospital bed so he could rightfully give Cora a wedding. When I lay on the hospital bed and heard the news, I coughed up blood and died, dying without peace. After being reborn, I was no longer a love-struck fool. Faced with Jasper's devotion, I used every ounce of my acting skill to pretend to be utterly moved by him. My efforts were not in vain, he was convinced I loved him deeply. My love was enough that, after his death, I could manage everything for him so that when he returned he could reap the benefits. So to outsiders, we were the perfect couple, a match made in heaven. No one would have guessed that both of us were scheming against each other in our hearts. I devoted myself to managing Jasper's company affairs, letting him continue living the life of a rich second-generation heir. Every second I spent with him, I chanted the will in my mind, I want the inheritance. After he faked his death, the Zhao family's business empire and billions in assets would all be mine. Heaven rewards the diligent. I finally waited long enough for this day. Great fortune, here I come. 5 days later, I held an elaborate funeral for Jasper. I immediately secured his death certificate and closed his accounts. From then on, Jasper, heir to the Zhao group, was officially a deceased man. This time, I personally handled Jasper's funeral. I didn't leave it to his 2 childhood friends. They hesitated at first, and Zachary coaxed, "Don't force yourself. Lucas and I have been Jasper's close brothers for years, leave the funeral to us. You should rest, there will be plenty for you to handle at the company later." I felt a despair deeper than any grief and said, "I want to see him off myself. He loved me so much, he'd surely want me to be with him until the end. Don't you think so?" They exchanged glances, probably figuring out a reasonable way to refuse. As Jasper's childhood friends, they were fully aware of his fake death plan and had been helping him put on a show in front of me the whole time. In my previous life, I was overwhelmed with grief and left the funeral arrangements to them. They handled it quietly and simply. Jasper's death wasn't splashed all over the media either, nothing about it matched his status as the wealthy young master of City A. But how could I have noticed those hints back then? In this life, I will give him a funeral so grand that the whole world will know, to avenge the scheme he used against me. Lucas drew a breath and said, "Sister-in-law, it's not that we don't want to, it's just that Jasper certainly wouldn't have wanted you to be worrying about his funeral while you're grieving. He would have ached for you." I admired his ability to lie with such straight-faced conviction. I wore an expression of profound grief. Our wedding was arranged entirely by him. He saw things through from beginning to end. I will personally handle his funeral. He loved me deeply, and I will repay him. You need not try to dissuade me, my mind is made up. If you continue to persuade me, I will be forced to suspect your ulterior motives. When I had made my words so weighty, they finally nodded in agreement. I felt as happy as a groundhog squealing with delight. This outrageous fortune would soon be mine. I contacted the major media outlets and spread the news of the young heir of a city dying in an accident. The report quickly shot to the top of the trending list. Most of the country learned of it. On the day of the funeral, the city's socialites who attended watched me and wept uncontrollably. while reporters outside kept their camera flashes flashing. After the ceremony, as I exited, I was surrounded by every major media crew. Their microphones were thrust directly in front of my mouth. "Mrs. Serena, as Mr. Jasper's wife, do you think there might be something fishy about his death?" "That's right. After all, Mr. Jasper has been involved in extreme sports since his teens. Calling him a seasoned player wouldn't be an exaggeration. How did he suddenly end up dying in an accident this time? I heard the rescue team didn't find Mr. Jasper's body. How can they be sure he's dead?" Their questions came one after another. "Good, ask more." I saw cold sweat already beading on Lucas's and Zachary's foreheads and couldn't help smirking inwardly. But on the surface, I was just a miserable woman who had just lost her husband, lost the pillar of her life. I was questioned until my head swam by reporters with all kinds of tricky questions, forced to retreat step by step. How could I be expected to answer those questions? After all, I was also a pitiable widow who only learned of my husband's death when I was notified. So Lucas and Zachary, his two childhood friends, stepped forward to respond. That was right, good brothers help each other. Having their personal confirmation was far better than me trying to explain. Lucas took the microphone and said, "All right, Zachary and I were on site and saw with our own eyes that he fell during the bungee jump. Quite a few people there witnessed it." Zachary continued, "We asked the search and rescue team to look several times but they didn't find Jasper. He was most likely killed by a wild animal. The one hurt most by this turn of events is Jasper's wife, Serena. I asked the press to give her some space and stop pressing her for answers." The reporters stopped fixating on Jasper's death and turned their attention to the future of the Zhao Corporation. With Mr. Jasper gone, what will happen to the Zhao Corporation? "Mrs. Serena, what are your plans going forward?" The head of public relations at the Zhao Group took the question and replied, "You needn't worry about this. Lady Serena led us in the past, and she will continue to lead our company in the future. We believe that under her leadership, our group will only get better and better." They spoke on our behalf, and I nodded repeatedly to show my agreement. Afterwards, I watched those interview clips over and over, and saved them. All of this meant Jasper was a thing of the past. From now on, the Zhao Group would be mine. With the will Jasper left behind, I smoothly inherited his family's business empire. At this point, I also had time to check on Jasper's current situation. I paid a high price to hire a professional private detective and had him watch Jasper around the clock. This madman wants to play at true love. He could easily divorce me and then pursue Cora. But he stubbornly doesn't. Instead he puts on that deep, affectionate act so well that I can't help falling for him and throw myself into working for him. I won't let him be smug any longer. Looking at the materials the private detective sent, I couldn't help but sneer. Jasper pretended to faint near Cora's house, was rescued by Cora, then pretended to lose his memory and thus successfully stayed in the Liu family. He was now courting Cora. It has to be said, his handsome face, no less striking than any celebrity's, gave him every advantage in love. In my past life I couldn't escape his tender advances. Now Cora, too, found herself helplessly falling for him. Cora lived in the countryside, where the internet wasn't very stable, so Jasper scarcely looked at the news feeds on his phone. As a result, he didn't even know he had already become a dead man in everyone's eyes. Even the title of a city's wealthy young master had been given to someone else. In his previous life, Jasper believed that Cora had fallen for him when he had nothing to his name, convinced they were true love. I didn't see it that way. After all, Cora and Jasper hadn't just met. At the time, Jasper and I had arranged with friends to go to a farmhouse in the countryside. There we ran into Cora. She happened to be working at that inn to help support her family. After a few casual words, she said without thinking, "If I like someone, as long as he treats me well, whether he has money or not, I'll be with him." Miss Serena, you're really lucky to have someone as outstanding as Mr. Jasper. If I had a partner like that, I'd follow him even if it meant eating husks and swallowing chaff. She glanced at Jasper with a flush, and that single look walked straight into his heart. When I was reborn, the two of them had already met. I wanted to know how their relationship developed, so I made a point of investigating. After they returned from the farmhouse that time, Jasper had his assistant pull up Cora's background. What he found was that Cora was poor but proud, kind-hearted, optimistic, by no means the gold-digging type who shunned the poor and chased the rich. To someone like him, born into a family that provided money but little companionship, a wealthy eldest son who had a silver spoon in his mouth yet few parental attentions, Cora's appeal was undoubtedly immense. Jasper wasn't very satisfied with me as the wife in this arranged marriage either. He began to consider how to get rid of me without harming the company's development, and yet be able to win a beauty for himself. In the end, he did exactly the same as in the last life. This mad duke began to make his move on me. He started pretending to fall in love with me, and I did my best to play along with his affectionate performance. Our relationship seemed to deepen gradually until we were in love. Jasper also turned into a husband who worshipped his wife. From time to time the media would run stories about Jasper lavishing thousands on his wife to buy her things. He waited until the moment was ripe, convinced I had fallen completely for him and could never leave, then vanished without a trace to chase true love with nothing to his name. After all, in his view, with how much I loved him, I would surely help him hold on to everything of the Zhao family. However, after my rebirth, in my eyes he had become a greasy, disgusting man. No matter how much he displayed himself like a peacock before me, I remained unmoved. My feelings for him had been exhausted long ago, drained when he carried out his vicious scheme. So when Jasper booked that bungee jumping activity again, I was thrilled beyond measure. I'm about to inherit his billions, how on earth am I supposed to stay calm? From the various footage I found in the files, Jasper and Cora seemed to get along well. Sparks of romance quietly flickered between them. Cora took very good care of Jasper during his amnesia. That only made Jasper think she was a virtuous girl who didn't care for wealth and status. I couldn't help but marvel at Jasper's lucky life. Before me, his grandfather and parents had already provided him with a worry-free, affluent existence. After his relatives passed away one after another, and with me as his wife managing the company for him, he was free to be his domineering self without a care in the world. Now beside Cora, the other party treated him gently and lovingly. He didn't even have to lift a finger, truly the life of a favored young master. Not long after, I received the news that the two of them had become lovers. Jasper's talent for sweet talk had always seemed innate. He assured Cora, even though I've lost my memory, even if I regain it later, my love for you will never change. Knowing they were in the throes of young love, I temporarily set them aside. After all, I had just inherited the entire Zhao family estate, and my worthless father and stepmother were eyeing it hungrily. My father kept calling me back to eat, to put an end to it once and for all. I still found the time to go back. At the dinner table, he put on the look of a doting father and said to me with concern, "Serena, eat more. You've worked hard these past days. Daddy knows, Jasper passed away, and you're hurting the most. It's all right, you still have Dad to rely on." Whether I could rely on him or not, I had long seen through it over the years. Ever since Mom died and he remarried, that home had ceased to be mine. Now, apart from money, what else can I trust that won't betray me? My father saw me busy eating and drinking without responding, and without seeming embarrassed he went on by himself, "The Zhao family is large and has many affairs. If you can't manage it all, your father can help share some of the burden. And your younger brother, he really likes you as his sister. He's working at the company now, you can take him out more to broaden his horizons. Your siblings, you'll have to support each other in the future." I lifted my head and looked at him. "Thanks, Dad. Managing the Zhao family's businesses is hard work, but I find it sweet. You don't need to trouble yourself. As for the others, I don't have the patience to play along. Warm, cozy family scenes have never been my concern, have they?" My stepmother spoke displeasedly. "Your husband is already dead, and you don't have children. Who are you going to rely on in the future if not your own family? This place raised you for over 20 years, wanting a share isn't too much, is it?" I gave her a cold look. In this woman's eyes there was only ambition. Since I married, this was the first time she had come forward to demand benefits herself. Usually she egged my father and me on to speak for her. Too bad I never once agreed. I said coldly, I've already learned at home that it's better to rely on yourself than on others. I'll be blunt, the Zhao family's assets are not for you, don't even think about it. My father grew anxious. Child, why do you have to make such strict distinctions? Those are elders' matters, they don't concern your brother. You should at least help your brother out, shouldn't you? I retorted, no. My mother only had me as her daughter, so as far as I'm concerned, what brother? I don't acknowledge him. The family business only passes to sons, not daughters. After your son graduates from university, you'll have him join the company's management. He hasn't worked his way up from the ground, doesn't know how to run a company properly, and has caused the company considerable losses. You just want me to cover for him, right? So you can talk to me, your daughter, all sweet and soft. But Dad, have you ever thought, are you even worthy? My father threw down his chopsticks, his face dark. You've got an attitude now, daring to talk to me like that. I smiled. Don't get mad, after all, there will be plenty more things for you to be angry about in the future. I'm full, so I'll leave first. Enjoy your meal. With that I set down my chopsticks and stood to go. From behind me my father hurled a tirade, calling me an unfilial daughter. I couldn't help a bitter laugh, he really had no idea what was going on. My parents' story can be summed up in one sentence: a wealthy, beautiful woman was utterly ruined by a Phoenix man. My mother couldn't bear the blow, withered away, and left me to endure so many years of wrongs in that household. Now I finally have the means to get justice for her. The weather's cooling down, the Shen family should go bankrupt. Come to think of it, a love full of setbacks is the kind that etches itself into the bones. Jasper is now facing a situation of two men competing for one woman. Cora has another suitor, his name is Shane. Shane's family runs a resort back in Cora's hometown, big and small. He's also a second-generation rich kid. If it had been before, Jasper would never have looked down on the other's wealth. But now, he has lost his memory, has nothing, and is a 7-foot man who has to be supported by Cora. There's simply no comparison. Before Shane appeared, Jasper's pursuit of Cora had been nothing but sweet words without spending a penny. He believed that feelings tainted by money weren't true love. In their daily life, when Cora did the housework, Jasper would sit beside her watching her work, praising her as such a virtuous woman. Any man who married her in the future would be lucky. When Cora returned from work, she still had to drag her tired body to clean up the mess Jasper left behind all day. Jasper was used to being pampered. He was the sort who wouldn't even steady a knocked-over bottle at home, so it was all Cora attending to him. Jasper wanted to test true love, he believed it was all his trial. After Shane appeared, things were different. Cora finally experienced what it felt like to be truly pursued and valued. Shane would bring Cora flowers and gifts. When she was tired he would kindly say, "Let me handle it, you go rest for a bit, have some water. I bought you something to eat, have a little to hold you over. Don't let yourself go hungry." All I can say is, it's hard to judge. With the comparison, Jasper's courting somehow started to seem a bit lacking. Cora also seemed fed up with serving Jasper every day while watching him stay busy yet refuse even to lend a hand. She took the initiative, pulling out a photo of Jasper to show him, trying to jog his memory and coax him into returning to the Zhao family to live in the big mansion and enjoy a good life. Jasper stiffened all over and pretended he had a headache, claiming he couldn't remember. In fact, he should have wanted to go back to the Zhao family as the wealthy young master of City A more than anyone. In his previous life, he had secretly stashed some money in an unknown account and, during the time he was presumed dead, withdrew it when needed. So his life had been fairly comfortable. Also, I collapsed in the 4th year after he faked his death. After I died, he smoothly took over everything I had left behind. At that time, I had just finished negotiating a major project with the government, a deal that would have guaranteed Zhao Group's prosperity for the next 20 years. So he and Cora enjoyed the fruits without lifting a finger. He could continue on as the spoiled heir he always was. In this life, I had arranged his death certificate, and all the money under his name was transferred to my account. So he was truly penniless. He had no choice but to find his two old cronies. According to the files from the private investigator, Jasper went to Zachary and Lucas to discuss his return to the Zhao family. That was much earlier than in the previous life. Back then he was living quite comfortably outside and wasn't in any hurry to come back. In this life, he experienced what it was to be truly penniless and finally understood the importance of money. The everyday necessities, rice, oil, salt, of ordinary life also depend on money. I heard the recording of their conversation. Jasper said, "Cora passed my test, she and I are true love. I'm planning to bring her back to the Zhao family. As for Serena, I'll divorce her and give her a sizable sum." "Well, thank you very much. You contributed nothing to Zhao Group, I kept it all afloat, and yet the moment you show up you want to kick me out." Jasper's heart truly is ruthless. Zachary said, "Jasper, this is a bit problematic. You don't know, everyone online thinks you're already dead. Also, your sister-in-law processed your death certificate, and your account has been closed." Jasper snapped anxiously, "What? How could you let her do that?" Lucas gave a wry smile. "We had told her that the arrangements after your death would be handled by the two of us. But she's your wife, she wants to accompany you on the final stretch, and we had no right to refuse." Zachary added, "Who knew she'd move so fast? By the time we found out, your death certificate had already been issued. I've recently been negotiating a partnership with Lucas's father's company, and Lucas has been tagging along, learning as he goes." Then he said to Jasper, "Jasper, since you no longer exist in this world, you might as well stay by Cora's side. After all, aren't you pursuing true love? True love is unbeatable, love will keep you fed." Jasper couldn't believe his childhood friend would stab him in the back and began to berate them. In the end, Zachary didn't speak up for him either. I remembered that the Jing family's business had run into trouble recently, and I even introduced a few deals to help them get through the rough patch. When you take someone's help you feel obliged. Zachary had fully taken the opposite side of Jasper. Both of Jasper's childhood friends disagreed with him returning. After all, since I rose to power I had gone out of my way to favor both of their families' businesses. They were unwilling to lose such a beneficial situation for development. That's perfect. Jasper has lost his status, is penniless, has no friends left, has become utterly alone. It's utterly satisfying. As for the Shin family, my father has been calling me constantly these days, even wanting to come to the company to see me. That day, he finally burst into my sight. His eyes were bloodshot, his appearance disheveled. He hunched his shoulders and pleaded, "Serena, please help your father. The company's cash flow has been cut off. If there's no new funding, the company will go bankrupt. This is the work of my whole life, I can't stand by and watch it all go to waste." I shook my head and said, "Dad, you're old enough to retire, just do it." His eyes suddenly brightened, as if he'd grabbed a lifeline, and he said urgently, "Serena, why don't you finance the acquisition of Shin's company? Rather than let it go cheap to someone else, I'd prefer you to buy it. Just give me a portion of Zhao's shares." My father spoke with excitement, his expression fanatical, as if he'd already pictured the day I'd agree and he'd become a shareholder of Zhao Group. Had my mother seen him so eager and short-sighted earlier, she wouldn't have been deceived to the point of losing her life. I said coldly, "Don't think I don't know, this is your good son's doing. If he's bankrupt, so be it. I'll pay the support I'm supposed to on time, everything else is out of the question." My dad tried to reason, "How about this, from now on I'll put your name in my will too, but whatever I leave to your brother won't bypass you." I shook my head and laughed, "Dad, leave those rotten fruits to your precious son. So what if it goes bankrupt? Didn't Mom once stand by and watch her family fortune get swallowed up by your side of the family? She went through that back then, you should have to experience the same." He pointed at me in astonishment. "What? Did you do this to the company?" I answered, "This is payback for you abandoning your lawful wife and for years of ignoring me. Besides, your situation's actually a lot better than Mom's was. After all, she also had to deal with her husband's infidelity back then. He suddenly raised his voice, "Serena, I'm your father. There are no parents in the world who are entirely without fault, but even if I have truly wronged you, you still can't be so completely rebellious." I had him shown the door. After the Shin family went bankrupt, they moved into a small 3-bedroom apartment. My father, middle-aged, had to re-enter the job market. In his youth he took a shortcut, marrying into a wealthy family and skipping over 20-plus years of hard work. Now he was paying that back. As for Jasper, Lucas, out of years of brotherhood, couldn't help but open his wallet and gave him a card with $500,000 on it. Based on Jasper's usual spending, that money might not even last a day. But according to Lucas, Jasper didn't like his love being tainted by money, and Cora was a proud, self-reliant girl, so that sum was enough for them to live well. Jasper took the money to the countryside to build a house for Cora's family, and the two began to discuss marriage. In Cora's hometown, weddings weren't so formal, they didn't need a household registration book, just a registration in the village would do. After all, how could Jasper, an amnesiac, produce a hukou or an ID card? Fortunately, this carried no legal weight, otherwise, a charge of bigamy would have been enough to land him in serious trouble. Soon after, Jasper ran out of money and went to Lucas for cash again. Ever since the three of them last fell out, Jasper had grown resentful toward his two childhood friends. Before carrying out his fake death plan, he had consulted those two friends. Back then they had pounded their chests and guaranteed they'd help him smooth things over with me. Now, though, he had no home to return to and not even the freedom to spend money. Jasper was very dissatisfied, convinced that it was these two who hadn't properly persuaded me, which is why things had spun so wildly out of control. Otherwise, he would already be back at the Zhao family, continuing his life as the rich young master of City A. I knew Jasper hadn't given up. With an empire this vast, no sensible person would let it go so easily. He was simply too trusting, believing I loved him so utterly that I would guard the Zhao group for him. He thought that when he finally won his beauty, I would also run the company to even greater heights for him, and then he could kick me aside and reap the rewards. Unfortunately, I was no longer the old Serena. I was Serena reborn to avenge a past life's sincere love that had been betrayed. To prevent Jasper from making a comeback, I told the private investigator to keep an even closer eye on his movements. Luckily I was vigilant. Jasper truly would stop at nothing to reclaim his fortune. He went to Lucas for another sum, $1 million, not to spend for himself but to hire a killer, naturally to murder me, the wife standing in the way of his path to riches. The vicious look on his face chilled me to the bone. If he wants my life, then let him go and die first. I had arranged to have tea with Lucas and Zachary. 10 minutes passed and I still hadn't said why I had asked them here. Lucas grew restless and, cautiously, asked, "Sister-in-law, what did you want to see us about?" I set down my teacup and smiled a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Do you two have anything you're hiding from me?" Zachary feigned puzzlement and asked, "Why would you say that?" I asked, "For example, how is Jasper doing now?" Their expressions changed instantly. Lucas stammered, "Jasper, he's dead, isn't he? Why are you bringing him up?" I laughed bitterly, "Aren't you going to tell the truth?" Lucas avoided my eyes and said, "I'm sorry." Zachary took a deep breath and said, "Sister-in-law, I'm sorry. We shouldn't have gone along with Jasper to deceive you. He's alive, and he's with his true love, Cora." My tears fell as if by command. I knew my instinct wasn't wrong, he's alive. It's just, does he hate me that much? Would he fake his death to leave me and be with that woman? Zachary tried to comfort me. "Don't be sad, sister-in-law. If he doesn't have you in his heart and would abandon everything to be with someone else, you need to think of yourself. Look, since you've been put fully in charge of Zhao Company, it's been doing so well. You should go your own way and let the short-sighted ones regret it." I felt a little surprised. Zachary and Jasper's brotherhood wasn't that sincere after all. Thinking it over, Jasper had acted like a little king since childhood, using his family background so that everyone had to give him face. His childhood friend approaching him, how much of it was out of affection, and how much was driven by the family's strategic interests, who could say? Now, I am in charge of the company's major decisions. For reasons of interest, I am leading the Jings and the Lus to cooperate on a major project. Zachary and Lucas understood that if the partnership broke down because of them, they would have no standing left in the family. So it was understandable that they chose to defect to me. I had them arrange a meeting with Jasper. I wanted to cut him off completely. I said, sorrowfully, actually, I received some news. Someone wants to hire a killer to murder me, and that person is Jasper. They exchanged a look and agreed at once. In the end, they helped me arrange to meet Jasper on a yacht. These rich kids loved going out to sea for fun. Jasper's time had come. I would at least see him off properly. Jasper, after a long time, enjoyed the sea breeze and leisurely sipped a glass of red wine. He sighed that this was the life he ought to be living. I clapped my hands and said, Jasper, long time no see. Not doing so well lately, are you? Has it been a while since you indulged in this playboy lifestyle? Jasper jumped. How is it you? Zachary and Lucas were the ones who invited me. Why are you here? Have they betrayed me? I said with a laugh, Jasper, don't blame others. You're not exactly an innocent yourself. Jasper declared war on me. Serena, did you know about my plan all along, so you made things so final and cut off my way out? I'm telling you, I'm going back to the Zhao family to take back everything of mine. I nodded, but in the public's eyes you're already a dead man. Even if you go back, there will be no place for you there. Jasper fumed, aren't you the one who loves me so much? Why would you set me up like this? I replied coldly, you were heartless first, so I can only be disloyal to you. Don't be upset, the Zhao group will always belong to the Zhaos. I'm not like my father. Only that Zhao is my Serena's turf, it will never be your Jasper's possession. Jasper gulped down a large mouthful of wine and grit his teeth. Don't enjoy yourself for too long, be careful you have money to spend but no life to use it with. That was all he could do, talk tough, he might not even get out of here today. I gave him one last long look. He stood alone on the yacht, drowning his sorrow in drink, swaying drunk against the rail. As I turned away, I heard what sounded like a heavy object falling into the water behind me. I didn't look back, it wasn't worth softening my heart. After returning to the villa, I couldn't help but relax. Zachary and Lucas, as expected, did not disappoint me. For the future of their respective families, they chose to sacrifice their brotherhood with Jasper to show favor to me. They were even more afraid than I was that Jasper would return to take everything back. After all, it was their own incompetence that invited his wrath. Meanwhile, I had significantly increased their influence within their families. The yacht's railing had been tampered with. As former good brothers, the two of them knew Jasper's habits very well. They had anticipated that when Jasper got drunk he would lean against the railing to feel the sea breeze. From then on, Jasper was truly dead to her. As for Cora, she waited at home, left and right, but Jasper never came back. She even secretly snooped around near the Zhao Corporation, but heard nothing about Jasper returning to the Zhao household. Disappointed, she went back alone. She accepted Shane, the rich second generation who had once courted her. But the marriage only lasted a few years before he cheated, forcing her to leave with nothing. She once again returned alone to the countryside. Her situation was worlds apart from that of the wealthy lady of my previous life who had built herself up with money. As for me, my career is flourishing now. Under my leadership Zhao Corporation is thriving. My future will be filled with boundless glory, and I have completely said goodbye to the painfully enduring Serena of my past life. Promotion, riches, and a husband who died, this outrageous fortune has finally arrived. The sun is bright, my future is radiant, and my good luck is still to come.